Recently, I saw a headline that read 4 gems dealers who made $1 million duping investors into buying diamonds at hugely inflated prices are facing years behind bars. Diamond fraud is a real problem, and some retailers play games to inflate the prices of the diamonds that they sell. Tim Ottmann, the owner of the Gem Gallery, has talked about this problem on the show before. But tonight, we've increased the time and expanded the topic so Tim could help further educate on this growing problem. You'll learn that many factors affect quality and value in diamonds, but you don't have to be a gemologist or fear buying jewelry. You do need to be aware of the potential for fraud or misrepresentation in the jewelry industry. You need to know what to look for, the questions to ask, and the right documentation to request. What's kind of the first thing that we should really be aware of when we're shopping?
The first thing really is an accurately graded diamond. Does it have the proper paperwork, which we can go more to that later. The other thing, which I think is the biggest problem that I see with smaller diamonds especially, is a diamond is sold as a half carat, say, and it's actually only 0.49, which is just under a half carat. The size is the same.
But most people would think, well, 0.49, 0.50, what's really the difference there?
The difference is that's one of the price point breaks. So let's say a diamond is G color SI1 and it's graded properly. If it's a half carat, 50 points, 51 points, it's $6,000 a carat, say, for that color and clarity, which makes a diamond $3,000. If it's only 49 points, the price break brings it down to $4,400 per carat, which means the diamond would only then be $2,156. So that's a difference of $844. So if you're sold a half carat and it's actually 49, there's an $800 difference in that color and clarity diamond, yes.
In 1/10 of a carat can,
in 1/10, yes.
Can be 844.
Yes.
Now, when you go up bigger in size, that significance even gets larger,
Exponentially
right?
different, yes. Much bigger variation in the price per carat. A good example is, especially again in, let's say, a GSI1, 1 carat is $92.50. As you're going down in color and clarity, you go down 4 grades, it's $68.75. It's much, much less. Most common problem we see with inaccurately graded diamonds is a diamond is graded, let's say, at HSI1. At an average margin, that diamond is $8,500 for a very fine diamond. If it's graded 4 grades lower, which is very common for diamond reports or certificates, as they're poorly or wrongly called, from out of the United States, it could be 4 grades off. That $8,500 would then be $5,625, which is a $2,875 difference for the same supposed diamond.
So if you had a combination of a 0.49
Yeah.
and a poorly graded diamond, we're talking thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of dollars. Now, what I have to ask you as a consumer myself, how do I know if I'm getting 0.49 carat or 0.50 carat? I'm not going to be able to see it with the naked eye.
Correct. Number one, again, is proper documentation. It's pretty common to have a receipt such as this from a major jewelry store, and it tells you what you spent, but it doesn't describe anything of what you bought. What we do differently from everybody else is, and I've crossed out the customer's name here, is we have a picture of the diamond, of the ring, a description of everything, including the center diamond, the color clarity, that it was a GI lab report with it, and the total weight of the smaller diamonds and their color clarity. So it's all laid out, they know what they're getting.
But as a consumer, if it says 0.49, I still might really not even understand the huge amount of difference between if it was a 0.50, because they could be charging me a 0.50 price and giving
Correct.
me a 0.49 diamond. So that's really what we want to know, right down to that 1/10 of a carat.
If it's marked 0.49, you can compare it to a 0.50 or 51.
Right.
But if they're generalizing it as a half carat, that's where you have the issue.
So do you feel that people need to actually ask? I mean, if I looked in your case and it said 0.50, can I assume that that's what it is, or do I need to ask if those are the exact?
You can ask, I'll guarantee it, because it is. It's when they don't say is when you always got to question it. A half carat can be 48, 49, 50, 51. There's a big difference in price per carat when it's that little bit of difference in size.
And it's okay if you want to buy a 0.49, but you just need to make sure you're paying for a
Correct.
0.49. That's
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Okay, now back to the color grading. So, so I think what I hear you saying is that sometimes when the reports are not done by a United States lab, they can be
They're
not...
much more reliable and consistent here in the States, yes.
Okay.
And there are several that are done overseas that use the GIA, the Gemological Institute of America's grading system, their standards. They don't grade the same way. And I can illustrate that because I have a couple of diamonds to show you. We can show you under white light how they're graded. You'll see the vast difference in what supposedly is the same diamond.
And we'll absolutely do that, but how do I know if my report is from a United States lab or not? How do I know?
It'll say on there, Gemological Institute of America, AGS, American Gem Society, it'll say on the report that it's American. If it says European or it says Israel or it doesn't say, be aware if it doesn't say.
Right. So I know, of course, when I come into the gem gallery that I don't have to worry about all of these things. But let's assume that I'm not in the gem gallery. What are just some of the basic questions I should ask right up front before I even start looking at diamonds? Do I want to know right then who they're using?
Yes, and you also want to know if the diamond is not mounted, it's easy to ask them, can I see this with a color master to see that I'm getting the color you're saying it is? Can I look under the microscope and see the imperfection and inclusions in the diamond? That should all be free for you to see. If it's a mounted diamond, it's hard to see the color, so then you really want to have somebody, A, you really trust, or B, that you have documentation to back it up.
Okay, so I think that a lot of people might assume that if you go to stores that have names that you recognize, they're national stores, they're what we call big box stores, whatever you want to call them, that because they're a name that you've heard of and that you've seen around for many years, that you can automatically assume that these things are happening. Would that be a correct assumption or a false assumption?
It's happening throughout our industry. It's rampant. It's my mission to educate people to look out for that, because small stores, large stores, especially big box stores, that's part of their game.
So don't trust anyone, ask for the documentation.
Correct.
I think that's what you're saying.
Show me the diamond. Show me how good it is.
And the paperwork.
Yes.
Show me the paperwork. We have to take a short commercial break, but when we return, Tim will put a correctly graded diamond against an improperly graded diamond under the lights and show us the true difference. Then later in the show, we'll bring you an AVA Ballet Theater performance and a true favorite holiday tradition, the Nutcracker, as well as 2 great shows brought to us by Art Town.